Good evening. If you're one of the more than 70 million Americans receiving Social Security retirement benefits, supplemental security income, or Social Security disability insurance, significant changes are now in effect as we enter the new year. These aren't rumors, these aren't predictions. These are official updates from the Social Security Administration that began rolling out at midnight on Saturday as part of the 2026 program adjustments. Over the next several minutes, we'll break down exactly what changed, how much money is involved, and what specific actions you may need to take. We'll examine the payment increases, the new tax deduction that could save you thousands of dollars, and some challenging changes to customer service that could affect your ability to get help when you need it. This is information every beneficiary needs to understand. Let's begin. Let's start with the most immediate change that affects virtually everyone receiving Social Security benefits. As of January 2026, a cost of living adjustment of 2.8% has taken effect. This is the annual increase designed to help beneficiaries keep pace with inflation. For the average retiree, this translates to an additional $56 per month. If you were receiving the average benefit of $2,015 in 2025, your payment has now increased to $2,071 per month. Now, $56 might not sound like a substantial amount. Over the course of a year, however, that's $672 in additional income. For many seniors living on fixed incomes, that can make a meaningful difference in covering basic expenses. But here's what you need to understand about how this increase was calculated. The Social Security Administration bases the cost of living adjustment on inflation data from July, August, and September of the previous year. They use a specific measure called the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. This year's 2.8% adjustment is slightly higher than the 2.5% increase beneficiaries received in 2025. That reflects the fact that inflation has been creeping upward again in recent months. However, and this is important, advocacy groups have argued that this increase doesn't truly reflect the expenses that seniors actually face. The National Council on Aging called the adjustment woefully inadequate, particularly when you consider rising healthcare costs. We'll come back to why healthcare costs matter in just a moment. The cost of living adjustment doesn't just apply to retirement benefits, it affects all Social Security programs. If you receive Social Security disability insurance, your average monthly benefit has increased from $1,586 to $1,630. That's an additional $44 per month or $528 annually. For those receiving the maximum possible Social Security benefit, the numbers are more substantial. The maximum monthly payment has increased from $5,108 to $5,251. That's an additional $143 per month, or nearly $1,700 per year. Now, it's crucial to understand that very few people actually receive this maximum benefit. To qualify, you must meet extremely strict criteria. First, you need to have worked for at least 35 years, and those need to be your highest earning years. Second, you must have consistently earned at or above the maximum taxable earnings limit throughout that entire period. For 2025, that limit was $176,100. For 2026, it increases to $184,500. And third, you must wait until age 70 to claim your benefits. Because so few workers meet all of these requirements, only a small percentage of beneficiaries receive the maximum payment. But for those who do, the increase is significant. Now we need to discuss something that substantially affects the real value of that cost of living adjustment. While Social Security payments are increasing by 2.8%, Medicare Part B premiums are increasing by 9.7%. Let me give you the specific numbers. The standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B was $185 in 2025. As of January 2026, it has increased to $202.90. That's an increase of $17.90 per month. Here's why this matters so much. Most Medicare enrollees have their Part B premium automatically deducted from their Social Security payment. The deduction happens before you ever see the money, so let's do the math. The average beneficiary is receiving an additional $56 per month from the cost of living adjustment, but they're also paying an additional $17.90 per month for Medicare Part B. That reduces the net increase to approximately $38 per month. In other words, nearly one-third of your cost of living adjustment is being absorbed by Medicare premium increases. This is why advocacy groups argue that the 2.8% adjustment is inadequate. For seniors who rely on Medicare, the real increase in disposable income is much smaller than the headline number suggests. If you're enrolled in Medicare and you receive Social Security, check your first payment of 2026 carefully. Make sure you understand both the increase and the deduction. The net amount may be lower than you expected. Now let's discuss a change that could be extremely valuable for millions of older Americans, but that many people don't fully understand yet. Starting with your 2026 tax return, which you'll file in early 2027, there's a new tax deduction specifically for Americans aged 65 and older. This deduction is worth up to $6,000 for individuals and up to $12,000 for married couples filing jointly. And here's what makes it particularly valuable. You can claim this deduction whether you itemize your return or take the standard deduction. The provision was included in tax and spending legislation that Congress passed in July 2025. It's sometimes referred to as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. President Trump has cited this as fulfilling his campaign promise to eliminate taxes on Social Security benefits. Let's be clear about what this actually does. It doesn't eliminate taxes on Social Security for everyone, but it could eliminate those taxes for some people, and it will reduce them for many others. Here's how the income limits work. If you're a single filer with a modified adjusted gross income up to $75,000, you can claim the full $6,000 deduction. If you're married, filing jointly with combined income up to $150,000, you can claim the full $12,000 deduction. If your income is higher than those thresholds, the deduction begins to phase out. For single filers, it's completely eliminated once your modified adjusted gross income reaches $175,000. For married couples, it phases out entirely at $250,000. Modified adjusted gross income is your adjusted gross income with certain deductions added back in. If you're not sure how to calculate it, you'll want to consult with a tax professional or use tax preparation software. Now, here's the practical impact. According to government statistics, roughly half of Social Security beneficiaries already pay no federal income tax on their benefits, typically because their total income is low enough. For these individuals, this new deduction doesn't change anything. But for the other half, who do pay taxes on their Social Security benefits, this deduction could result in significant savings. Depending on your tax bracket and total income, it could reduce your federal tax bill by anywhere from several hundred to several $1,000s. The deduction is currently scheduled to last through 2028. What happens after that will depend on future legislative action. Many people don't realize you can work while receiving Social Security benefits. However, if you're younger than your full retirement age, there are limits on how much you can earn before your benefits are reduced. These earnings limits have been adjusted for 2026. If you will be under full retirement age for the entire year in 2026, you can now earn up to $24,480 without any reduction in benefits. That's up from $23,400 in 2025. If you earn more than $24,480, the Social Security Administration will reduce your benefit by $1 for every $2 you earn above that threshold. Now, if you're reaching full retirement age during 2026, different rules apply. For the months before you reach full retirement age, you can earn up to $65,160 without reduction. That's up from $62,160 in 2025. Above that amount, your benefits are reduced by $1 for every $3 earned. Once you reach full retirement age, which is 67 for people born in 1960 or later, these limits disappear entirely. You can earn as much as you want without any reduction to your Social Security benefits. It's important to understand that these reductions aren't permanent. When you reach full retirement age, the Social Security Administration recalculates your benefit to account for the months when payments were reduced. So you do eventually receive that money, just not immediately. For those receiving Social Security disability insurance, different rules apply because SSDI is specifically for people who are unable to work due to serious medical conditions. The threshold for what the SSA considers substantial gainful activity has increased to $1,690 per month for most SSDI beneficiaries in 2026. That's up from $1,620 in 2025. If you exceed this amount while on SSDI, you could lose your benefits. For individuals receiving SSDI based on blindness, the limit is higher at $2,830 per month, an increase of $130 from 2025. If you're still working, there's another change you should be aware of that affects how much you pay into the Social Security system. The maximum amount of earnings subject to Social Security payroll taxes has increased from $176,100 in 2025 to $184,500 in 2026. What this means is that if you earn more than $184,500 in 2026, you'll stop paying Social Security taxes on income above that amount, but you'll be paying taxes on a larger portion of your earnings than you did in 2025. Social Security is funded primarily through payroll taxes. Employees pay 6.2% of their wages, and employers match that with another 6.2%. Self-employed individuals pay the full 12.4%. So if you're a high earner, this change means you'll be contributing more to the Social Security system in 2026 than you did in 2025. This adjustment happens annually and is tied to wage growth across the economy. As wages rise nationally, the taxable earnings cap rises with them. For those who haven't yet qualified for Social Security but are still working, there's a small but important change to how you earn eligibility. You need 40 Social Security credits to qualify for retirement benefits. You can earn a maximum of 4 credits per year. For most people, that means about 10 years of work. In 2026, you'll earn 1 credit for every $1,890 in wages or self-employment income. That's an increase of $80 from the $1,810 required in 2025. To earn the maximum 4 credits in 2026, you'll need to earn at least $7,560 during the year. This is a relatively minor adjustment, but it's worth noting for younger workers or those who work part-time and are gradually accumulating the credits needed for future eligibility. Now we need to discuss a change that's generating significant concern and controversy. According to internal planning documents reviewed by media outlets, the Social Security Administration is aiming to reduce in-person visits to its field offices by approximately 50% during the 2026 fiscal year. Specifically, the agency plans to cut visits from more than 31 million to about 15 million. The stated rationale is that technological improvements have allowed more Americans to manage their benefits online or by phone. A Social Security spokesperson told the Associated Press that the agency is serving more Americans than ever before at quicker speeds and is meeting customers where they want to be served. The offices themselves aren't closing, but the number of in-person appointments available will be significantly reduced. Here's why this concerns many beneficiaries and their advocates. Even under the current system, people often wait months to get an appointment at a field office. Reducing the availability of appointments by half could make access even more difficult. Field offices provide critical in-person support for complex situations. Applying for disability benefits, for example, often requires extensive documentation and can be confusing to navigate. Many people, particularly older adults, prefer face-to-face assistance for these processes. Not everyone has reliable internet access or feels comfortable managing important financial matters online. Some individuals with disabilities may find phone or online communication more challenging than in-person meetings. A group of senators wrote a letter criticizing the plan, calling it a backdoor cut in benefits by making it harder for Americans to access the Social Security benefits they need. The Social Security Administration maintains that the changes reflect evolving customer preferences and technological capabilities. But beneficiaries who rely on in-person service should be aware that getting an appointment may become more difficult in 2026. If you anticipate needing to visit a Social Security office this year, consider scheduling your appointment as early as possible and explore the online services available at ssa.gov to see if your issue can be handled digitally. Let's talk about specific actions you should take in light of these changes. First, verify your January payment. Look at both the gross amount and the net amount after any Medicare deductions. Make sure the numbers reflect the cost of living adjustment. If something seems wrong, contact the Social Security Administration. You can check your payment information through your online account at My Social Security on the ssa.gov website. If you don't have an online account yet, now is a good time to create one. It gives you access to your benefit statements, payment history, and other important information. Second, if you're 65 or older, start planning for the new tax deduction. If you typically prepare your own taxes, familiarize yourself with the income limits and how the deduction phases out. If you work with a tax professional, mention this deduction when you meet with them. Calculate your modified adjusted gross income to see whether you'll qualify for the full deduction, a partial deduction, or no deduction at all. This will help you plan appropriately. Third, if you're working while receiving Social Security, review the earnings limits that apply to your situation. Make sure you understand how much you can earn without affecting your benefits. If you're close to the threshold, consider how your income might fluctuate throughout the year. Fourth, if you need to visit a Social Security office in 2026, act sooner rather than later. With the planned reduction in in-person appointments, availability may become more limited as the year progresses. Before scheduling an appointment, check whether your issue can be resolved online or by phone. The SSA website offers many self-service options that can save you time. Fifth, keep your contact information current with the Social Security Administration. Make sure they have your current mailing address, phone number, and email address if you've provided one. This ensures you receive important notices about your benefits. These changes don't exist in isolation. They're part of ongoing challenges facing the Social Security system. The most recent trustees report projects that the combined Social Security trust funds will be depleted by 2034 unless Congress takes action. At that point, incoming payroll tax revenue would cover approximately 83% of scheduled benefits. That doesn't mean Social Security is going away. The program will continue to collect payroll taxes and pay benefits, but without legislative changes, there would need to be either benefit reductions, tax increases, or some combination of the two. Various reform proposals have been discussed in Congress. Some would raise the payroll tax cap even further. Others would adjust the full retirement age. Still, others would modify how cost of living adjustments are calculated. None of these proposals has become law yet, but the long-term funding challenge is real, and at some point, lawmakers will need to address it. For current beneficiaries, these immediate changes we've discussed today are what matter most. The 2.8% increase is now in effect. The new tax deduction can be claimed on your 2026 return. The earnings limits have been adjusted, but it's worth understanding that Social Security policy continues to evolve and future changes are likely. In the age of social media, misinformation about Social Security spreads rapidly. You'll see videos claiming secret benefit increases, hidden programs, or simple tricks to dramatically boost your payments. Be skeptical of these claims. Social Security is a federal program governed by law and regulation. Changes require either congressional action or formal regulatory processes. Legitimate changes are announced publicly by the Social Security Administration. If you see information that sounds too good to be true, verify it. Check the official SSA website. Call the agency at 1-800-772-1213. Consult with a legitimate benefits counselor. Also be aware of scammers who target Social Security beneficiaries. They may call pretending to be from the SSA, claiming there's a problem with your benefits and demanding immediate payment or personal information. The real Social Security Administration will never threaten you, Demand immediate payment by gift card or wire transfer, or ask for your Social Security number or banking information in an unsolicited call. If you receive a suspicious call, hang up and call the official SSA number yourself to verify whether there's actually an issue with your account. There are a few specific situations worth addressing individually. If you're turning 65 in 2026, you need to enroll in Medicare. Even if you're still working and have employer coverage, you should contact Social Security about 3 months before your 65th birthday to understand your options and avoid potential penalties. If you're planning to retire and claim Social Security in 2026, run the numbers carefully. Your claiming age significantly affects your benefit amount. Claiming at 62 gives you a reduced benefit. Waiting until your full retirement age gives you your full benefit. Delaying until 70 gives you the maximum possible benefit. Online calculators and benefit estimators can help you understand the trade-offs, but for personalized advice, consider consulting with a financial planner who specializes in retirement planning. If you're receiving SSDI and your condition has improved to the point where you think you might be able to work, contact the Social Security Administration about the Ticket to Work program. This program allows you to test your ability to work without immediately losing your benefits. If you're receiving SSI, remember that this program has strict income and asset limits. If your financial situation changes significantly, you need to report it to the SSA. Failing to report changes can result in overpayments that you'll be required to repay. What should beneficiaries expect for the rest of 2026 and beyond? First, monitor your payments each month to ensure you're receiving the correct amount. Mistakes can happen, and catching them early makes resolution easier. Second, stay informed about potential policy changes. Congress may consider Social Security legislation in 2026. Understanding what's being proposed helps you advocate for your interests. Third, adapt to the changing service delivery model. With reduced in-person appointments at field offices, you may need to become more comfortable with online and phone-based services. Many resources are available to help seniors learn to use these digital tools. Fourth, plan for healthcare costs. With Medicare premiums rising faster than Social Security benefits, healthcare is consuming a larger share of many seniors' incomes. Consider whether supplemental coverage or Medicare Advantage might better meet your needs. Fifth, review your overall retirement finances. Social Security is designed to replace only about 40% of pre-retirement income for average earners. It's a foundation, not a complete retirement plan. Make sure you have additional savings and income sources if possible. To summarize what we've covered tonight, as of January 2026, Social Security beneficiaries are receiving a 2.8% cost of living adjustment. For the average retiree, that's an additional $56 per month. Though Medicare premium increases reduce the net impact to about $38 per month for most beneficiaries. A new tax deduction worth up to $6,000 for individuals and $12,000 for couples is now available for Americans 65 and older with income-based phase-outs. This could significantly reduce or eliminate federal taxes on Social Security benefits for millions of people. Earnings limits for those who work while receiving benefits have increased. The limits are $24,480 for those under full retirement age all year and $65,160 for those reaching full retirement age during 2026. The Social Security Administration plans to reduce in-person appointments at field offices by approximately 50%, which may make access to face-to-face service more difficult. Maximum benefits, payroll tax caps, and disability earnings thresholds have all been adjusted upward for 2026. These are substantial changes affecting tens of millions of Americans. Understanding them helps you make informed decisions about your benefits and your financial future. Verify your information, protect yourself from scams, use official resources, and stay informed about future developments. Social Security remains one of America's most important social insurance programs. It provides essential financial security for retirees, people with disabilities, and survivors. Knowing how the program works and how it's changing is crucial for everyone who depends on these benefits. That's our update for tonight. Check your January payment, explore the new tax deduction, and plan accordingly for the year ahead. Thank you for watching.